Nigeria Info.
.3 Nigeria Info. Good morning to you, Lagos. Welcome to the second part of Dailies today here on Nigeria Info. I am Sheriff Quadry.
Yeah, and I'm Jimi. Disu. Good morning.
Yes, Lagos. You can watch us live on Facebook and on YouTube this great Tuesday morning. Just search for Nigeria Info 99.3 and you'd be able to watch us wherever you are on Facebook and on YouTube. Right. Let's begin. Let's start with this story here. Daily Trust, page 5. So we're starting from. Tinubu flies to France in new presidential jet. Presidency silent on cost.
Right. There is history, and there's a future that we always face in time. You know, and I wonder in future when the history of President Bola Tinubu's tenure is going to be written, what would the exact words be? Because by that time he will no longer be president, and you will now find people who are encouraging him to do things in a manner that is, to say the least, embarrassing, would now be telling the truth. And that is the unfortunate story of life. A lot of things that the president does, he could do without. In all honesty, nobody is taken in by any explanation for a new presidential jet, but the fact that you want to live a luxurious life under your Emilio Con philosophy. It's my turn, and I'm going to live well. That's the reading. That might not be his intention, but that's the reading, and that also applies to the Escalade that has been making the rounds. A president doesn't drive a luxurious car. A president goes in a high-level security but comfortable car because of what you call the optics. Ask yourself, to buy a Rolls Royce for the British Prime Minister, it won't cost anything to the UK government, but he wouldn't do that because it would be considered indecent. It will be considered insensitive. It will almost be considered irresponsible in such circumstance for you to see that, the UK government, the state bought a Rolls Royce for the president. It's not for the prime minister. That's what it will be. So he goes around in a Jaguar, we have a Maybach. A Maybach itself is the ultimate luxury in the Mercedes-Benz range, which is just about decent. And of course, you know the SUVs. I don't know what message whoever advised the president to go to have to, because the caption we keep seeing, which has not been denied, is that Escalade was the car he drove to the airport on his way to Equatorial Guinea. Some people want to make it look as if it was what he drove in Equatorial Guinea, but I say no. The caption that I've seen that has not been denied on AIT is the car that he drove. And this, I have it on good authority that this new plane is extremely luxurious, but extremely difficult to fly and to maintain. You know, and we indulge in these things. It doesn't make it, even at the best of times, it wouldn't have been the best for the president to go around with. But I just don't understand. The way it looks to me, it is like you know, sometimes when you watch some of these movies and you see some of these funny guys wearing the most expensive Italian suits, it just doesn't add up. If you get what I mean, it doesn't go with the flow. For me to choose my words carefully. Anyway, we are being told now that the president departed Abuja on Monday after he returned from a 3-day trip to Equatorial Guinea. Remember that this new presidential jet was amongst those seized by the Chinese, but they released it to him. Under what circumstance, I don't know. And it says that Igelale says the president will embark on a trip to France on Monday departing from Abuja on August 9. And he says the president will return to the country after his brief work stay in France. What is a work stay? When is he coming back? You don't know. What is a work stay? Now, I don't like doing things in futility. I don't think things should be done in futility. All of us know that the president has a health problem and his doctors are in France. So trying to cover it otherwise is insulting to the people. And it doesn't even do the credibility of those who package this thing, doesn't do them anywhere. The president has to see his doctors, full stop. There's nothing to hide. It's there, right there in the open. Can't we have some credibility, for God's sake? Can somebody define to me what is a work stay? I would like, after this, get to the social media and I'd like somebody to explain to me. I don't know what is called a work stay. Do you know what is called a work stay?
No idea.
No idea.
No idea.
I don't know where that came
Work
from.
stay.
Work stay. Anyway. And then the statement from Bayo Ononuga is equally offensive. He said that the story says that Bayo Ononuga, who released the pictures on Monday, said it replaced this new plane. I said, although he did not disclose the amount it was purchased, which everybody knows, Google it, you'll get it. Ononuga said the new plane was bought far below the market price. The market price of what? The market price of a new one or an old one. It's an old plane. It's a Tokumbo plane. It was used originally by some prince somewhere. Okay? So it's not a new plane. And he said it saved Nigeria huge maintenance and fuel costs running into millions of dollars yearly. It saved. It saved. I don't believe this kind of, nobody should give us this kind of story. Please. Please, not in this era. And he also says that this is the part I find a bit offensive. The recommendation to replace the B737 followed an investigative hearing by Nigeria's parliament. Is it the parliament that will determine the viability of a plane? Are we being fooled by all this? He says by Nigeria's parliament that questioned the plane's safety record and cost efficiency, especially after it malfunctioned during a trip to Saudi Arabia. Planes always malfunction. Air Force One has malfunctioned before. No big deal. It's like a car. Your car will not start and move. There will always be, it's like a human being. You will always have a headache. You will always have a toothache. You will always have an earache. And so we know some of us have a fair idea of what has gone down here. He wanted a new plane and a more luxurious plane, and so be it. It's not the job of the parliament. Where was the record? They should show us the technical report. It's not the job of parliament to say whether a plane is viable. Please let us do these things with a bit of education and honor to people who are supposed to listen to this thing. And he said that Nigeria's Senate Security and Intelligence Committee recommended replacing the aging aircraft. It's a whole lot of... Let's move on to the next story. I think I'd better... But the opposition here has tackled them. So there's no point wasting time on this. The opposition, of course, have said that it's unnecessary and so on and so forth. Let's just move on, Sheriff.
Right, indeed.
It's too early in the week to get involved in things like this.
I was going to ask a question before, but since you've said
no, you can ask the question. This is the best time to ask me now because I'm all sharp ready, razor ready.
I was actually going to ask, with everything that is going on, I hear we're about to borrow another $500 million.
Oh yeah.
What's the optics as to the lifestyle of the leadership, the disposition of the leadership, and then the economic situation of the country?
It's offensive, it's inhuman, it's insensitive. I want to be polite by not saying that it's irresponsible. I want to be polite. I will not say that it's irresponsible. But this is not how leaders behave. And by saying that I want to be polite is just because I'm on air. And, if you left me, if you brought a microphone to my mouth and I'm standing alone outside, the things I will say Because how do you explain it? In the midst of all this hunger, it almost moves you to tears. Look at everywhere, no fuel, nothing. In the midst of all this, and you are displaying this kind of luxury. And when people react, you say they want to take your mandate from you. Somebody has to put an end to this nonsense that is going on. In a legal manner, I'm not asking for any uprising or anything. But we definitely cannot continue like this. The optics are bad. The situation is bad. Yes. And these people should realize that the people you depend on are suffering the same fate. Do policemen go to a different market? Do soldiers go to a different market? Why do you want to run this country aground by this kind of behavior? We need to tell ourselves some home truths. So we definitely can't continue like this. We can't. If you're in a vehicle and there's a reckless driver driving the vehicle, you must do something. Either you get down from the vehicle or you change the driver. But we can't. It's getting to a limit. And then you come and say somebody is going for, what is a walk stay? I feel insulted by that statement.
It's called Duro Shisha.
What is a walk stay? You see, what the feeling that I get that I find offensive is just throw something at the people for them to argue about. Just tell them something. There's no respect for the people. No, and yet you always find people in government saying, "Oh, we feel." You don't feel anything. If you felt anything, you won't be behaving like this. I don't know. Why did you ask me, self?
You've answered.
If only people can see my eyes. It's painful. How could our own country, because it's very, very painful. Even though I'm not weeping outside making noise, I'm weeping inside. That so many years after independence, this is where we are.
Yeah.
With this kind of leadership.
This is where we are. This is where we are.
And guess what? We all went to eat with our eyes open. We told you, but you didn't listen. Let's go to the next one.
Let's go to the next story. If you're just tuning in, you're welcome. By the way, you can watch as well. You can go to our Facebook page and our YouTube channel, Nigeria Info 99.3. We'll be glad to hear from you regarding the headlines we're treating this morning on the show, Dailies today. Let's go to the Vanguard. Let's drop the trust for now. Page 14 of the Vanguard has a story here. Isheshe Day, Lagos, Osun, Oyo, Ogun declare holiday.
I'm not sure. I'm finding it difficult continuing with this thing. I'm not emotionally stable. Well, the job has to be done. Right. A lot of you should be weeping back home and going to beg God to save you from what we find ourselves in. Honestly, what kind of a life is this? Who did we offend? So Isheshe Day, Lagos, Osun, I congratulate everybody. I thank all the state governments who have allowed this to happen. Because we whatever it is, we must respect our own. We must respect. I've had people say that, the way you talk on radio, you must be a traditionalist. And so what? I'm not, but what if I was? We've all been victims of propaganda that makes everything that is ours look bad. The same way they told us not to drink ogogoro but brought schnapps. You understand what I'm saying? So I'm glad that we have Isheshe Day. We must recognize our own, because a country, a group of people, a society that doesn't recognize its own and recognize itself and have an identity is not going anywhere. But I want to make a plea to these state governments. If we have Christmas Day and Boxing Day and we have Muslim holidays, usually 2 days, can we please have 2 days for Isheshe Day so that those who have to leave their station, for example, if I was in Lagos and I had to go to Ogbomoso or whatever, at least I need a day to travel, either to go or come back. And we ask that, please, can we have 2 days? Also, this Isheshe Day now is to remind us about the caretakers that we have put in these places, meaning the traditional rulers, at least in the southwest. We need to tidy up that act. We need to tidy it up. Every 2 roads has an Oba now. It shouldn't be like that. The Obas, the kind of behavior that you get, Obas in skits, Obas with gold chains, Obas in this and that, and Yoruba, let us get our head correct and get things done properly. Don't allow these politicians, don't allow them to spare our own. The consequences are that this Yoruba to do it ain't gonna happen the way it's supposed to happen. And I'm talking in what do you call it now? I'm talking proverbially. In Proverbs, we need to tidy up. And I think the same would apply for other parts of the country. The Indians, the Chinese, and all the people are where they are today because they took a premium on their religious practices and their culture. You can't get anywhere by follow the people where they follow, they go knock you down. But congratulations to all my people in this Isheshe, whatever. I wish you a happy celebration. And for the record, I'm a Christian. But, we must all learn to be tolerant of each other. And we must develop our own. Are you an Isheshe man or what?
No, I'm a Muslim. I'm a practicing Muslim.
Why do you have to add the word practicing?
I just needed to emphasize it.
So would you have?
But I don't have anything against.
Would you have a Muslim who is not practicing?
Oh yes, of course.
You can't be. No, once you say you are something, then you are practicing. That means you believe in it.
No, not.
It might not be. You might not be able to pray 5 times a day. But if you are a Muslim, you're a Muslim. When you fill the form, you put. Why do you have to add the word?
It's
practice?
Not exactly so. Even in Islam. Okay, let's not go deeper.
It is. It's the problem that we have. We always like to.
I was going to ask though, before we move away from this Isheshe Day conversation, is that Isheshe itself, the traditional religion itself, is on its path towards extinction. I don't want to say on the verge of extinction, but because the custodians themselves have left Isheshe, they've left the traditional religion, they're still occupying the post meant for the custodians, but some of them have moved towards another religion. Is that not a conflict of interest as to the success of this Isheshe Day?
No, not just that. We are going to see, if we don't tell ourselves the truth, we are not going anywhere. We've all been irresponsible in this regard, just like on the political terrain. We have always put money forward. That's what you have. Because in all sincerity, how do you have somebody, for example, who claims to be a current pastor is now a traditional ruler?
I mean, what is the
what kind of conflict?
Yes.
And it happens, and you now find against tradition, this man kneels down for somebody to lay hands on him and pray. These things, they have consequences. And the consequences is what you are seeing. I believe in these things. I might not be practicing. Indeed, I wish I was exposed at a very early age to these things. I probably wouldn't even have been a Christian at all. I'm a Christian by convenience. I just believe that, okay, this is what I understand. Because when I grew up in a Muslim environment, the kind of attempt that was made to keep me was to send me to Arabic school. Rather than it's better now. Now you have these activities on Saturday and Sunday. In those days, our parents went to work on Friday, and that was it.
Yeah.
The same thing with this Isheshe thing. Because I will tell you what, though, I find the most discipline amongst the bona fide traditional the bona fide practitioners of our religion. Do you know why?
Why?
Because our local religion has no place for nobody died for you. They are not forgiven in the sense that you would have been told. Machi, they will tell you. They will even tell you Kolero, you would have been told. But people like that convenient one where you could say to them that somebody had died many years before they were born for the sins that they are now committing. They like that one. They find it comfortable. And over time, and we are not committed people, even to our own existence, politically or otherwise. And we have gradually, and the politicians, I don't know where God created them from. They've destroyed everything. They're partly responsible. I tell you, every other street now has an Oba. In Lagos State, you even find some Obas who are not even from the state. How can a man who comes from Ilesha come and be Oba in Lagos State? How can that happen? But that's what we have. That's what we have. And across, everywhere, I've never... An Oba can have his own private religion, but when he knows that he's going to be an Oba, this is what... when we started building churches in our Oba, there's nothing wrong in building the church, but must it be in the palace? What kind of contradiction is that? It's the height of hypocrisy. It's the height of hypocrisy. And that is why, one of the major reasons why we do not make any progress. We don't make any progress. Especially in this, since we are talking the church, we are talking Yoruba land. And that's why I tell them, I tell my people bluntly that we Yorubas, we need a rethink. We need to define what is, like when they talk about Omoluabi, are you talking about rich people or are you talking about people with values?
Good question. Very valid question.
When you say somebody is an Omoluabi, is it somebody who doles out? Because when you hear in Nigeria that, this man is very, very generous, how won't you be generous with money that doesn't belong to you? When you hear, if you can get close to him, of course, if you can get close to him, it's not state money. What are we talking about? We are not ready. We are not ready. We are not ready. This is a very sober morning for me. The things that we see, very, very sober, extremely sober, very sad. Oh yeah.
Well, incidentally, we have to go.
Yes,
I
need to get out.
I would have loved for us to treat this particular next story.
Which one is that one?
Well, this one about
the Ajero. Well, I just say that with the Ajero story, just be open-minded.
Yeah.
Let us wait to hear. But I don't know how, if you have all this against somebody, if he has these cases to answer, I don't think inviting him, unless some politics is being played, why didn't you just pick him up?
Yeah. With all of these things.
And grant him bail.
Yeah. Indeed.
So there's a political thing behind it. I just ask that people be open-minded.
All righty. But you're back at 9.
Yeah, I'm back at 9. We're going to look at this Ogun State thing with GT Ogunye.
Okay. All right. Brilliant. Lagos, thank you. We appreciate your time on the show this morning. But we're not done yet. Kofi is coming back in for the last hour of the morning crossfire. Stay here. Good morning to you.
.3 Nigeria Info. We are more than just radio. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Nigeria Info FM. Check us out on Facebook at Nigeria Info 99.3. Follow us on Twitter at Nigeria Info FM and on Instagram at Nigeria Info FM Lagos for live updates as it happens. 99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's talk.